You may have thought that this podcast was a thing of the past, but it isn't. We're back with a bang. It's me and Woods still. Bray is still absent. Is he even part of this anymore? We don't know. But we're here again. If you are hyped for RadsCast to be back, hopefully we can actually do it a bit more consistently going forward, because we're going to do these like little transfer videos, hopefully more frequently. Then hit the like button and subscribe. How are you today, Woods?
Good. How are you?
I'm decent. We're going to talk about the state of our club. There's the Euros hype at the moment where England, our other team, could actually do well. So it's kind of a weird situation for us. But we're going to focus on Forest today. Talking about pre-season, first of all, the transfers that could or could not happen. Most likely won't, because we decided to do the complete opposite of last year and go from signing every player under the sun to no one. Which is pretty much what's happened. Anyway, let's talk about pre-season. We've got a few games to play. Really testing ourselves with these first three. But the mighty Port Vale, if Jordan's watching, friend of mine, just get ready to probably beat us, knowing Forest. Northampton, Crew. But he gets a lot harder after that. Aston Villa and Burnley. And we want to make a note of Burnley, because it could be the first game that we could go to with fans, potentially. So, what do you make of pre-season? So, we've not played any games. What do you think of the schedule, Woods?
I think the only team I can actually really hope for is Burnley, because the first game fans can most possibly go to. Yeah. And it's like, I would have loved to go to Villa, but unfortunately it's behind closed doors, no fans at the training. It's at the training ground, so it's unfortunate, but
yeah,
it's one of them ones where it's like you're kind of happy fans aren't going, because you'd have to come up against a famous old player of ours called Matty Cash.
I was about to say, yeah.
And it's gonna cause every Forest fan pain. So I'd rather not see him play in a Villa shirt unless we really have to. Like if we get him in the cup, for example, and then we have to play him at home in the cup, it's gonna be a pain all around the ground.
The fact that it's a pre-season friendly as well. It's not like it's not even a real game either. And it probably, I mean, I hope they just play a load of youngsters and Cash doesn't play. Let's just hope that, could be the way forward. Burnley, fun fact, we actually played Burnley a few years ago, about 4 seasons ago in pre-season, and we drew 1-0. So we're making a habit of playing them in pre-season. Is that a good thing? Probably not. But fun fact as well, I don't know why I keep saying that. I believe Sean Dyche, he used to play for Forest?
I think so, yeah.
He did, yeah. So he's going to come back to one of his old clubs. He should know a bit about us. I think we should talk really, just before we get into like the transfers and stuff, about what we're expecting going into the season, because quite frankly, I don't have a clue. Because I think the way it's going, we're just going to do very similar, because we haven't signed anyone. And I think if we do sign a few players, then that would probably definitely change all of our opinions, in some way. So what's just in general, what is your thoughts going into the new season? You got any hope at all?
Yes, kind of.
Yeah,
if
that's
we
me
do
really.
If we do get the players that we have been linked with, just throw a name out there, like the recent one, Zian Flemings. We've been linked with actually putting a bid in for him. So if that does happen, and he wants the move to happen as well. So if we do keep actually putting bids in for him, I'd imagine at some stage we're actually going to go out and get him. All down to whether the club actually goes out and makes the signings and all that. So
yeah.
So really.
Yeah, pretty much all you can say at the moment, because we mentioned him just there, Fleming. He plays in the Eredivisie, the Dutch league, of course, for Fortuna Sittard. I'm not Dutch, so I apologise if I've said that wrong.
I'm gonna just say Sittard or something like that.
Sittard. It's something like that. Probably is more likely that, to be fair. But we'll just talk a little bit more about him. He does look like a very exciting player. He can use both his feet from what I've looked through. And I know you shouldn't really read into compilation videos too much, but from what we've seen, does look very encouraging and the kind of player that Forest could do with for sure, and a player we definitely would have lacked when you look at last season's performances. He scored 15 goals last year and 7 assists in 35 games, which is very encouraging. And I believe he's an attacking midfielder predominantly. So sounds very encouraging, really, doesn't it? Let us know in the comments below what you think about Fleming and just, in fact, anything that you want to comment about throughout this podcast, just go ahead and do that. Another one we're linked with is Dion Charles from Accrington Stanley. Who are they? I promise we won't do that again. That's a very, very original joke, of course, as we all know all too well. 14 goals last year in League One and 3 assists in 42 games. Not a bad return. What do you make of this one, Woods? Would you think it would be a good move?
Well, if we are truly going out for what this new CEO wants, we're going to go out for players who do get the results that the club thinks they need. And I think this upcoming season is more of a building season to go out, build the squad that we think we will need, and then just hope for next season really that it does go the way we want them to.
Charles is one of many League One players we've been linked with, but it all seems to be dying out. He's the only one that of late we've been even rumoured to be signing, because it's also worth pointing out apparently Brentford are linked with him, and obviously they're nearly promoted. So if he's going to go to one of these two, Forest or Brentford, he probably would choose Brentford. But if he wants to play, obviously that's what you're going to say.
What I was going to say. I was going to say if he wants to play, he'll probably come here. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
he might be one of them players that decides I don't want to go to a club that's not going to play me.
Coming to a club like Forest, who God knows what we'll do, it probably would be more of a wiser move for him. And then maybe if he does well with us, he could move on after that. But we'll see what happens with that one. I'm not sure how likely that would be to happen. Obviously, like I said, other League One players, and we'll just go over them briefly. We've been linked with Jerry Yates for ages, but I don't think that's going to happen because obviously Blackpool newly promoted, and we were playing them, of course, this year. We mentioned they're the new CEO. And just to fill you in, if you don't know, obviously Forest are very, very strongly rumoured to be getting Dane Murphy from Barnsley. Now, I did my own video on this on my own a few weeks back. If you want to go and see what I thought about it at the time, then go and watch that. But I'll talk about it with Woods here on RadsCast. I know your opinions already about Murphy, but this is going to be a good move, you think, for the club, would you say?
Yeah, obviously it's gonna improve. Let's be honest, Barnsley did very well last season in the transfer market, in the league, everything last season. They just did it
totally
well. If he can come here and try and do the same as what he did at Barnsley as he did here, or he's doing here, for example, it's going to be good. It is. I just think it will definitely help us out in the long run too, in the transfer market, in the league. All that,
because he was at Barnsley for 2 seasons, and like we're saying, he did brilliant there. And I mentioned this, of course, a few weeks back, but he was very, very good with recruitment, and that's exactly what Vestros, our previous CEO, was not good at. And there are a few rumours that Vestros might be still having some connections to the club, but nothing close to what he has been since he's been in charge of us.
He's probably just going to have a say in something whether the big man actually sells the club or something like that, for example.
This is another reason really that we haven't signed any players yet, you'd think, because we haven't actually officially appointed Murphy. So how can we really sign any players if not got a CEO who is obviously a huge role in signing players? But it's kind of sad from Barnsley's point of view when you consider the fact that they've also lost Alex Mowat, who we were kind of linked with. He's now gone to West Brom to join his old manager, Ismail, again from Barnsley. Just having a mass exodus over there. But hopefully it'll come to Forest and he'll do bits for us just like he did at the Tykes. But we need to just talk about a few of the players as well that we were linked with. We were linked with out of nowhere, really, and it only really happened for a few hours. Zinkenardle, who plays for Watford, and he signed a 5-year deal in January for Watford. And then out of nowhere, he was linked with Forest. I remember we were actually talking about it at the time, me and Woods, and it was we just thinking, what the hell's going on here? Then this is just out of nowhere. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to come, but it would have been a good transfer, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's one of them where it's like he could, but he's probably not, kind of thing. Because we just said that he could, but he probably could not. We were linked with him, and then his agent came out and said he's not moving to Forest, and that was just how fast it was.
Literally, yeah. So there was no rumours at all, and it was like first thing in the morning there was just a report about Zinkenardle, and then like by 1 o'clock, no, he's not coming. There's not anything other than that, and it looked like it had some legs to it, but no, not at all. Far from it, which is kind of weird, really. But it's always going to be the case, I suppose, in the transfer window. You're going to get that all the time. But from what I saw of him, he was very good. He was a very good player for Watford last year. But maybe they didn't think he would be up scratching the Premier League. But if he'd signed a 5-year deal, you would have thought they would have done. So it's a weird one. That it's worth talking about Mark Hondes, who has just signed for Bournemouth. We were linked with him for a long time, and it's been up and down all the time. That is, we could have got him for free. He scored in the playoff final for Brentford when they obviously beat Swansea a few weeks back, months ago now. And out of nowhere, again, it's just kind of all randomly happened. He signed for Bournemouth. We were actually saying it's a bit like when we signed Harry Arthur last year. It just kind of came out of nowhere. It's a little bit sad, this one, really, isn't it? We didn't get Mark Hondes.
Well, it was sad, but I'm happy we've not got Mark Hondes, because now we are going out and getting this 22-year-old lad from Zane Flemings.
Fleming.
I don't know what to say, really. It's
not much can say, really, isn't it?
Like, it's all quite quick, isn't it? Like,
yep.
So I'd prefer not to say anything yet until if we actually do sign him or something like that. But obviously you have probably said it multiple times, but I'd absolutely love for him to come here.
So a few players that have already gone out the door, of course, we've already mentioned the players that have been released. One of those was Amiobi. He's gone to Middlesbrough, which is probably one of the most Middlesbrough signings of all time. Forest reject. And I mean, the only one that I'm truly sad that's left out of the release list, and that's the same with all of us, is Yuri Ribeiro, who we don't know where he's going to go. Hopefully he'll get a good move for himself. But Amiobi is like the only other one that I can even say that I'm at all sad about. I personally would have kept him for maybe one more season and then moved him on, because he was by no means perfect and he was the definition of inconsistent, but he had flashes of brilliance when he wanted to, which is probably why we got rid of him, because he was exactly that. Amiobi had some great moments, didn't he, really, for Forest?
Yeah. Well, Amiobi can say against Leeds in both matches, really.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Who else could I say?
That header against Stoke.
Stoke, yeah, to get his first goal for the club.
That was great, that was.
We leaped really far to get that, so... See, I should be remembering a lot of this, but I can't remember any of it. And that's kind of sad, really.
But he was good at putting balls into the box as well. Because remember that goal when we beat Blackburn towards the end of last season. Remember he put a fantastic ball in for Grabham, which resulted into a goal. So he was a very useful player. He had a lot of pace about him, a lot of flair, but he was just inconsistent. And if he just did a bit more, then I don't think he would have. I think he'd still be a Forest player, to be fair. But I think it's worth pointing out as well that when he signed, we were all like, what we're playing at here? Like, he left Bolton when they got relegated, and all their problems are just going to new levels. So obviously he was going to come to a club like us. And I was just thinking, well, I guess it's a bit weird, isn't it? But I thought it was great, particularly the first season. Second, like every player, he definitely wasn't as good. Oh, another game, of course. Just thinking, Millwall last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the game where he got a goal and he got 2 goals on his left and his right? Yeah.
Was it? I think it was. Yes. Yeah, I remember one of them was a corker, one of the goals of the season against Swansea last season as well when we drew 2-2. Remember he scored a good goal. He scored both goals in that game. It's a shame he didn't score a third because that would have been quite important, as it turned out. But yeah, that's all we can really say about Sammy Amiobi. Hopefully, for his sake, he does well at Borough, but just have an absolute shocker against Forest. Unlike what every player tends to do when they play against Forest, they just whip it up. A few more moves as well for George Shelvey off to Mansfield. It's kind of weird that though, because Shelvey's a goalie. He's not played a game for us, but Mansfield have also signed another goalkeeper from Man United in Nathan Bishop. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work. Probably.
I mean, at the end of the day, it probably will help him in the long run because it will push him to be the best he can be.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but at the same time, I suppose you've loaned a goalkeeper out, which happens a lot with goalkeepers, and he still doesn't play, which is kind of frustrating from a Forest point of view. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with George Shelvey. Another one which hasn't actually happened yet, reports that Nicholas Ioannou could be going off to the Serie B with Como 1907. I've probably butchered that. And I think this is a really weird one because our left back situation is really quite worrying with the fact that we've obviously got rid of Ribeiro for nothing. So we've got Bong and Blackett, and Ioannou, and arguably the best of the lot, is going to be loaned out.
yeah.
What do you make of this one?
I've always been confused about Forest, if I'm being honest. They always do the weirdest stuff. And this is up there with it because it's like our left back situation is absolutely in a shambles at the moment.
Definitely.
So I don't know why we're sending out our best left back on loan. But I hope if he is going to go, which I don't know what he's done against Chris Hughton because he's only had one poor game, and that's literally because he had a red card.
And before that, he played like 5 games in a row. I think the whole left back situation last season was just so weird, and so it still is now. It's so confusing because I remember the first 4 games obviously were horrendous, but like Yuri started, then he was not even in the team at all because like Blackett played, and then that happened again, repeat exactly the same thing, and then Ioannou played early games, I remember, and then out of nowhere Bong was playing, and then Yuri came in for ages, and he got sent off, and then Blackett and Bong were all over the place, and then it was Yuri. It was just mental, and it's continuing now. We've got rid of our best left back, and we're going to loan out the other good one. We're going to be stuck with Bong and Blackett. I mean, maybe keep one of them. If I really had to pick one, it probably would be Blackett as a push. But for God's sake, we've got to sign someone else. And I just hope that Murphy's announced very, very soon because the season starts in just over a month's time and we still haven't signed any players. And the left back situation in particular is rather concerning. And we'll talk. I think the last thing we need to talk about really is the whole squad. We just mentioned left back there, but at right back, it's not much better because we've got Jordan Gabriel, who was great at Blackpool last year on loan. You could maybe argue he's not ready. I personally would like to see him get a chance. But if it isn't him, you've got Carl Jenkinson, who is definition of Deadwood, really. What do you make about the fullbacks in general, really? Because it's a very tough one.
Yeah.
That kind of sums it up, really.
We've got Jenkinson, who's all right. Obviously, we've still got players that we can go and buy, but it's like,
yeah.
Is there anyone actually recently been linked with us that we could possibly go out and get? Because the last one that was linked with us was what was it? It was that guy who's gone Huddersfield.
Mm.
We were linked with him for ages. So we played at Oxford, I think, and
Yeah.
we were linked with him, and then all of a sudden Huddersfield's got him, and now we don't have a left. We don't have a very. I think Blackett's okay, but we need to go out there and go and get a left back.
That 100%. Yeah.
We have nothing. Let's be honest. We have nothing at the moment that shows we can go out there and show teams that we're not messing about.
And midfield are linked with quite a few players like Fleming, and maybe Garner could come back, but I don't know about that one. But
it all depends on whether they go out and get the players that they need, that they want.
yeah,
Because then it's like, okay, we can have a chance, especially since Norwich have now got that Gilmore from Chelsea. So it's like that's one competitor out the win at the back. I don't see. It's going to pay me to say this, but he isn't ready for the Premier League yet. He's had a good season at Forest, but that's low Championship football.
If he had a whole season with Forest, and maybe a whole year with fans back, there's a good chance Forest should, at the very minimum, be a bit more, competent.
I'd say if we go out and get the players that we need, top 10 should be where we aim for.
I mean, quite frankly, right now, I don't see us getting the playoffs at all, and that's what we want every year. And the fact that it's so frustrating, and it just sums up Forest to a T, that we had 2 years where we were looking great, and now we've had a year where we were just absolutely horrendous most of the time. And now our expectations and our positivity levels have gone from being the highest I've ever known it at Forest to just being non-existent. And it's just so depressing, because we're in such a good position, and it just feels like those 2 years were just completely a waste of time. And okay, maybe if last season was just a major off year and next season we were up there again, who knows if it does happen, then yeah, that's just a bit of a weird situation. But if we can do well, then I'll take it, of course. But I don't know. We just need to wait and see what happens with that one. And again, I think with the fact there'll be fans back at games, the very minimum home games at first, it can only help. Only help. And I, for one, can't wait. I know all of us can't wait to go back to the City Ground. And I do plan on going to quite a few games next season, hopefully. So keep an eye out for that next year. But yeah, let's just keep working away for the team a little bit. Obviously, centre-back, I think, it's a position that we don't really need to worry about that much, because it's probably the only area of the pitch that I don't think we need to sign anyone, because we've got, Wall, McKenna, Embiso, Figueiredo. The only one there that you could argue is Figueiredo.
The only one I can really see is, unfortunately, missing out, going out and selling, is obviously Worrell. But it's if we somehow manage to keep him, we should definitely be pushing for that top 10 spot, because
just thank you.
If we get Graban firing again, which it's going to be hard to say, because we know what he can do. It's just that if he can go out and do it,
he's another year older as well, isn't he? And who knows whether that's going to have an impact. I mean, as of right now, would you be happy to see Graban stay?
If he's on the form of last season, no.
Yeah, agreed.
But if he's on the form of this, if he's on the form of the season before that, yes.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone would say, really. It's just, he just needs to get him back firing on all cylinders, a bit like players like Lolly and the whole team, quite frankly. A lot of work to be done in quite a short space of time, but I just hope we just get on with it as soon as possible, really. There's not really much else we can talk about, to be honest. It's about a half an hour podcast, this. Is there anything you want to add, Woods, at all?
I just hope Forest can go out there and actually get the deals done and just get who we need to get, have a good season, and then it's not much else I can really say.
This is the thing, I did these. You might remember I did like transfer roundups last year myself, but I think it makes sense to do it as RadsCast this year. So hopefully RadsCast can go from being away for 5 weeks, 6 weeks to being rather consistent. But these first few episodes might be a little bit, you don't know what to say at times because we're not actually doing anything. These are all just rumors. So when we actually start signing players, these episodes should be a bit more interesting for you. The next few, hopefully we'll get someone like a Bray on. I don't know whether he's ever going to come back.
Finally.
We'll have a few more guests, but me and Woods really, we're the consistent host, as we called ourselves before we started recording. So I'm waffling. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button on it, subscribe to the channel, follow us both on Twitter. There's links below at NFFC Woods for top quality content and at Rads_23 as well. And if you really want to follow my Instagram, you can do. That'd be great. Thanks for watching. We'll see you very soon. You Reds.